Hi, how y'all doing today? I'm Anthony. You're watching Palmetto Prepared. Today I got a new segment. We're going to call this the Perennial Spotlight. Today we're doing Bee Balm. Now before I get started, I want to go ahead and talk about what we're going to be explaining in this video. First things first, what exactly is Bee Balm? Second, we're going to discuss how to grow it. Third, we're going to talk about why I put it in my garden. And fourth, we're going to talk about possible medicinal uses. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, what is Bee Balm? Simple. It is a flowering herb native to the North America. It is compatible in zones 4 through 9, and for the most part, you should have been able to find this, obviously before a lot of development, growing wild in meadows, roadsides, that kind of thing. Now, how to grow it is actually very simple. You could easily do seed, but personally, in my opinion, I wouldn't go seed. I would just go to my local garden center and go and get one transplant. Keep in mind, this plant is very invasive. Well, it's not very invasive. It's not quite like peppermint, but it is part of the mint family, and it is invasive. So when you put it down into a bed, keep in mind that it will spread. And when I say spread, I mean it's going to shoot out lateral roots, what we call rhizomes. And once it gets to a certain distance, it's going to shoot up another plant. So you can use this to your advantage by every year when it does spread out, you can dig up that spread, move it somewhere else, and plant some more Bee Balm all over your property. This is also good for renters or sort because you can basically pick it up and take it with you when you move. It is also a nice attractive plant, obviously by the flower, so you can kind of get away with planting something in someone else on a rental house and get away with it because it is a flower and it is an attractive plant. But personally, I would just stick with a transplant just because it's one time only, and being a perennial, the reason why we're talking about it on Perennial Spotlight is because you can basically mow over it and next year it's going to pop right back up. So you only got to buy it one time. It's not like an annual where you got to buy it every year. Now, why do I have it in my garden? Simple. Being named Bee Balm, what do you think it attracts? That's right, bees. But it's not just bees, it is also hummingbirds and butterflies. Now, I have black-eyed Susans on one side of the garden and I have this on the other side. Experience has taught me if you bring in the pollinators, they will stop at other plants. I like to grow cucumbers and squash and sometimes melons. Well, you can't grow those without a pollinator. Technically, yes, you can, because you can just take a little Q-tip or a brush and hand pollinate, but I don't have time for that. I don't think anyone actually does unless you're retired. So the best part of having bees in your garden, well, they do it for you. So for those of you that don't know, when you want to grow a squash plant or a cucumber plant, you're not going to get anything without pollinators, which is why you have something like this to bring them over to your garden, because there's a good chance that once they stop here, they're going to stop there. So that is the main reason why I have it here, because I want to make sure I have food. And empirical evidence would suggest the record number of cucumbers that I've had last year and now this year would indicate that obviously my plant is working. And finally, for medicinal uses, the reason why this should belong in a lot of prepper gardens, a lot of homesteads, especially if you are big into survival, is because it is a survival plant. It is a perfect medicinal herb. Now, the one thing that this plant has is the compound called thymol. Now, thymol is an antiseptic, and a very powerful antiseptic, and this plant has most of that. You will find majority of it in your mouthwashes, but it can be found in a lot of other places as well. But having very strong antiseptic properties is a very good thing, especially if you have a cut. Now, I'm sure we've all made it past a certain part in our life. We've all gotten cuts at some point. Now, you can always put Neosporin or Bactin on it, that kind of thing, just to keep it clean. But if you don't have any of those things, it's good to be able to walk out the front door, grab a leaf or two, stick it in your mouth, chew it up, and put it right down that cut, and not have to worry about becoming infected. That is why I like this plant. That is why I have this plant, and I've actually used it for that purpose, and it does work. Now, another thing you can do, and I haven't tried this, is a tea for stomach issues, that kind of thing. I haven't made tea with it. In the colonial times, they used to use this as a substitute for black tea. I'm not really big of a fan of a tea drinker. I can, but this is, it's just one of those things you can do. I haven't tried it, so I'm not going to go and put my stamp of approval on it, just giving you an idea of what you can do with it. Alright, so I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. The best part about this plant is, it is, again, a set it and forget it plant. There's only one thing that I've read that actually causes any kind of damage to this plant, and that's powdery mildew if you live in a humid environment like I do, which is why if you are going to water it, make sure you water it in the morning. Don't water at night. Let that moisture sit on the leaves. You won't have to worry about that problem if you don't do that. But I hope you learned something from this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd love to have you here, and share the video with someone you may be a fan of Bee Balm. I'll catch y'all later. Bye.